It was the worst depression that I've ever experienced. I never imagined that being a solopreneur would be so hard. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the mental and emotional impact of running a business and how I dealt with it. Hi, I'm Shreya. I'm a marketer and freelance consultant with 20 years experience. I post weekly videos to simplify marketing for small business owners and solopreneurs to help you grow business with actionable strategies and tips. If this is something that you're looking for, please consider subscribing. Let's get started. I want to start by reading out some eye-opening findings that were gathered via a digital survey conducted among the startup community globally by this company called Startup Snapshot. I will link the LinkedIn page in the description. 72% of founders struggle with mental health, 37% suffer from anxiety, and 36% experience burnout. 54% founders are very stressed about their businesses, with fear of failure being their main stressor. Founders spend 60% less time with spouses, 58% less time with kids, and 73% less time with friends and family. And the average level of loneliness reported is 7.6 out of 10. That is a crazy statistic to me. 3 out of 4 business owners are lonely. Now, you may or may not identify with these findings. I certainly did. But the truth is that it can get very lonely working on your own. Here's a little backstory about me. After 17 years of working in corporate, I took a sabbatical to go study further, to go do my second master's. And then I came back and decided to start my own business. If you want to hear about my business, let me know in the comments. And that's a story for another day. It was the first time I was working on my own. I took a huge risk, invested all my savings. I worked full time on my business. I didn't have a safety net or something that I could fall back on. I was working alone. I didn't have a partner or a co founder. And I was so lonely and scared. I've never experienced depression the way I felt depression at that point of time. No matter how much somebody tells you that entrepreneurship or working on your business is hard, you never really know how hard it is until you work on it. I miss people and I miss the sound of printers and people talking. I miss the energy of an office and I was so lonely. And like I said, nobody tells you how isolating it is until you experience it for yourself. So here's what I did to get myself out of the funk and manage my stress. And I hope these tips help you as well. So, tip number one was to find spaces. I allocated a separate space for work. Earlier, my desk was in my bedroom. I would literally get out of bed and sit down to work, and there wasn't much separation between my two lives. So, I ensured that I created a separate workspace where I was working, and this really helped. I can understand that not everybody has a separate room. I actually built my office in my living room. So, what you see here, it's actually this half here. I have my living room on this side. So not everybody has a separate room or space for an office. So, it's absolutely okay to allocate a certain part of your, like a corner of your house or room for the office. And this really helps because, when I'm in my workspace, I'm working. And when I'm in my other spaces, I get to switch off from work. And this separation really helps your mental health. The second tip is to find a routine. In the beginning, when I started working on my business, the lines were very blurred. I didn't know where work ended and my personal life started. I was dipping in and out of work and my personal life through the day. And I realized that this was a problem because when I was working in an office, I had like fixed hours, I had a routine. So that's what I implemented in my own life. I stuck to similar sort of hours. Sure, there were times when I worked overtime or I had to work late into the night because I had a deadline. And, we would do that in an office as well. But I would get up at the same time and finish doing all my morning chores. And I would change into work clothes and have a working day. And this routine has really helped me and it continues to help me even now. Tip number three is to get a mentor. It can get so hard to not have guidance. And it doesn't matter how young or old you are. Like I was in my 40s when I first started working on my business. Well, I just entered my 40s. When I started working on my own business, I had almost 20 years of work experience under my belt. And yet I felt that I needed a mentor. I'd never done something like this before. And I was very lucky. I had a couple of mentors who helped me through the process, who gave me the guidance that I needed, who were like a bouncing board for ideas. They give me a different perspective. So when you're working on your own business, whether you're a fitness trainer or you're a consultant or a coach, try and identify somebody senior, ideally in your industry or connected industry, who you can go to for guidance. Tip number 4 is to get a support system. This is such an important point. I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is. Running a business can get so lonely and you can feel so isolated. Getting a community or peers with whom you can share ideas and discuss things can make so much of a difference. I can speak for myself. When I worked in an office, I would chat with my colleagues quite often and discuss work and bounce ideas off them. And this give and take always helped me in my work and to define my ideas. But when you start working on your own, on your business, we tend to kind of get ourselves into this little hole and we don't talk to people. And this can actually be quite detrimental for even our business because, you're just in your own little room swaying yourself. It really helps when you are able to discuss ideas, but also share your problems, your good times and bad times with someone else. Knowing that you're not alone makes all the difference in the world. Tip number 5 is to keep learning. When you're doing everything on your own, it's hard to find time to do anything else. You're running a business, you're looking after your house, you have family responsibilities, and often we're worrying about monies and growth. Sometimes you have teams, you're worrying about employees. In all of this, we stop growing. And learning is such an important part of success. I would invest a lot of time in reading up, watching videos, networking events would help, meeting new people. And it need not just be your industry. Even if you're meeting somebody who has a different kind of a job, you learn so much from that person. You need this exposure to new things because it helps you grow and do better in your own work. Tip number 6 is get help when you need it. This is a mistake that I made. As you all know that I'm a marketer and I was working on an app and I spent so many hours working on the UX. I did hire a UX designer, but then I was working on it on my own. I was sitting with the development team. It was just so exhausting. I spent days and days and days working on it, which is understandable. When you're working on your own business, you end up doing everything. I didn't have help. I hired a couple of interns, but I was kind of guiding them more than they were helping me. I wish now, in hindsight, that I had reached out or need somebody to help me. It would have been worth the bandwidth it would have given me to focus really on my strengths. I understand that it's not possible to hire somebody right in the beginning. Often we are starting out on our own and we don't have the budgets to hire people. It's the same thing with me. I just didn't want to spend that extra money on hiring a person. I'm not saying that you absolutely have to, but there are other ways of finding help. For instance, if you are not a marketer and this is something that you don't know much about, you can find resources like this channel. I'm here giving help and advice to small business owners or anyone who's working solo, really. There are lots of other people who do the same, who give advice and free tips. And often you'll find like little checklists or templates that people are giving out for free. There's a lot of free content out there which you can use. And I would invest time and effort to find resources like this. Once you've set it up, it will make all the difference in your day to day. The last point is self care. It is easy to let go. And trust me, I did. I know I'm here giving this advice, but I made these same mistakes. I didn't focus on myself. I was not exercising. I was overeating. And my depression was a result of all of these things. I think it's very important to focus on yourself. And you could have different ways of doing that. Some people do journaling. That could be your thing. It could be going for a walk. It could be spending time with family members or pets. And actually, what really helped me at this point of time is that I started feeding crows. In the beginning, it was just a distraction, but over a period of time, I just fell in love with crows and they have become such a big part of my life. I always say that they have helped me more with mental health than any therapist could. If you're interested in knowing more about my crows, comment below. I'm sure I'm going to share some stories about them without you commenting, but still, tell me if that's something that you're interested in. I'm not saying that this replaces therapy. If you feel that you need professional help, you absolutely must reach out because professionals can help us with support and to cope better when we're struggling. If that's what you need, don't hesitate. At the end of the day, if you are in a better mental and emotional state, it's going to be good for your business. I actually implemented all of these over a period of time. It took me a lot of trial and error to figure out that these were the things that really, really made a difference to me. And I carry these learnings with me even today. Hope this video helped you. It's different from my normal videos. Usually I share like marketing tips or strategies, but I thought it might be nice to also talk about the other softer aspects of business because not too many people talk about this as marketers. Anyway, I hope this video helped you. It can get really lonely, and if you don't know where to start, then start here. Let's all share our thoughts and ideas in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video.